I'm going to turn it over to Robert Garber to give us a little update on, what's going on in, I'm going to call them like benchmark markets like Morris Plains, which is, or Parsippany, a more affordable market, and maybe the higher end market that you're watching, Robert. And if you want to just share that with us in terms of like new inventory, are people still being a little aggressive on pricing, and are you seeing price reductions? So if you could take a moment to talk about that while I try to get in touch with our lender. I'll be right back with.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My impressions of what I'm seeing in the marketplace is that in certain cases, the ones that Rob's mentioned, if we want to start at the high-end market, which would be, in my case, Mountain Lakes area, last year at this time, there were usually maybe 4, 5, 6 houses on the market, and pretty much they came on, they went off in a couple of days. This year, I'm seeing a buildup of inventory in Mountain Lakes, which is indicative of a slower sale pace. I do see that the listing prices are becoming a little more realistic, which I think is something that we're seeing across most price ranges. But I think that does give us a better opportunity to invite more buyers into the process. In a town like Parsippany, business is still very brisk, and again, prices are, I think, coming down. I kind of monitor listings coming on and price adjustments, and there are still price adjustments, and they're 99% coming down, but they're prices that when you look at the properties and you see where they were originally priced, it stands to reason that they'd be coming down. I think that the important aspect here is to make sure that our sellers understand that today's market is not the market of a year ago, or even 6 months ago, or 4 months ago, or 2 months ago. So it's really important that we get the message across to them to price their houses advantageously now. The last thing you want to do really is to have a listing that sits on the market for months and months in this marketplace because it's price wrong. So, please be aware of this. I'm sure you're seeing it in wherever you're doing business now, that, prices are coming down, which is fine. I mean, it's good for our industry, and because it signifies a more normalized marketplace. Is this something that you're all seeing in the areas where you're doing business?
Yeah, Robert, this is Scott in Broward County. Example today, just for Broward County new listings, we had 137 new listings, and we had 109 price decreases, just as a Broward County snapshot. So we're definitely seeing that, but we've seen less new homes hitting the market also. We were averaging towards the beginning of the year between 160 and 180 per day of new listings in Broward County. And now we are averaging around the 130, 140 per day. And there are days like sometimes over the weekends, it'll drop down to 60 or 80 new listings. So we're definitely losing some supply. It's kind of interesting watching the curve. Like you said, if it's, and what I've seen, if it's priced right and accordingly, it's still selling in a week. If they're pricing it with the 4 months ago price tag, then we're seeing it sit on the market a month or two before the sellers adjust and come down to reality. And then once it gets to the new, I'm calling it a 10% price reduction across the border down here, it seems to be selling. But the price reduction, again, is from the crazy high prices we saw. Homes are still selling at top dollar. It's just not the ridiculous 20, 30,000 over anymore.
Yeah, and of course, when we put ourselves in that position, of, a month or 2 months into the listing and then bringing the price down, I mean, we're really turning over the power of the transaction to the buyer. And our sellers are left defenseless. And, the goal always is that, we want our sellers to be the ones with the power. And the only way you can do that is to price it aggressively so that the price is going up and not coming down. Anybody else have a comment about their marketplace?
So, and Robert, I think it's also like from the buyer's perspective too, because, we need to be, the resource and the guide to help, buyers feel comfortable with what they're transacting in. And I don't know if anybody watched, like the financial markets, because that impacts us indirectly through interest rates. But yesterday was something crazy like I've never seen. Does anybody see what happened yesterday to stocks and interest rate futures? Somebody's got to have taken a look.
Just by looking at my portfolio, it hurt really bad.
So what happened yesterday, Scott, was the inflation numbers came out in the morning, and it was just like instead of 8.1, it was 8.2. But like those little changes kind of spook things. So before the market, the futures were up 300 points. When the economic data came out about inflation, and it looked like there was going to need to be more tightening and higher interest rates, the market went down about 600 points. And then during the day, it had a schizophrenic moment, and it changed course, and it was up 600 points or 500 points at the end of the day. I think it was up 6 something at the end of the day. So the market really doesn't know where it's going to be. Even with the data. And the thing I heard this morning when I was listening to the financial reports was that there's a strange irony, because if somebody tipped you off and said, hey, here's what the information is going to be, right? They gave you, hey, Scott Kaplan, the inflation is going to be hotter than what expected, right? And, generally that means that the interest rates are going to go up. You might make a trade on that, but if you did and you didn't get out right away, you would have lost your shirt, because the market completely schizoed in the middle of the day and went back to being bullish, meaning a little bit softer on interest rates, and the equities went up. So we're searching in equities for where the right way to price assets is, and I would suggest that we're doing the same with real estate. Is we're searching for that new valuation, right? Is it going up? Is it going down? Are interest rates going up? Are they going down? Is it going to be short term or long term? Do we have any lenders on here? Any of our lenders on with this here? I want to just take a quick moment if we do have anybody on.
Yeah, Robert, we're the rates are definitely in the 7s this week. The only thing I look at is nothing ever really goes up in a straight line. So we might see a pullback in the next maybe week or so. I'm hoping anyway, because I have some people I need to lock. But there's just a lot of uncertainty in the market.
All right, and from what I understand, and Frank, you have access to like wholesale sheets, right?
Yes, so I have access. When I price loans, I'm pricing with 29 different banks at the moment. And my rates are a little bit better than average, but even still, we're in the 7s. What we're seeing a lot is on these loans, they're pricing in points as well. They just want to cover themselves on the front end, because they know once the rates go down, everybody's going to refinance. So we're seeing points on these loans as well.
Right. So just for those who don't know who Frank is soon to be our motto lender for Florida. And Frank is also a real estate professional, so he understands both sides of the fence. Now, what I'm understanding from what I'm reading, Frank, and you can maybe validate this, is that normally when somebody buys a house, and this is an education for everybody. Normally when somebody buys a house, and I'm just going to give you rough numbers here, and don't hold me to the numbers. I know they're completely not accurate, but if somebody wanted to buy a house and they got quoted a rate of 7% with no points, And there might even be some people new in the industry who don't even know what a point is. And what a point is 1% of the loan balance that you're
Yes.
taking out. So if you buy a house for 600,000 and you borrow 500, 1 point would be $5,000.
5,000, and you can buy
Now-
the rate down that way.
Well, you're getting ahead of me here, Frank.
Also,
For those of us who aren't familiar with points, if you've been in the business for a while, who bought a house more than 25 years ago on the call? Carlos, did you buy a house 25 years ago, Mr. Cruz?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever pay points on a mortgage?
If I recall correctly, yes, I have. And
Did you?
almost 19% interest also, 1980.
Wow, you're showing your age there. You still look young though. So back in the day, probably in the 70s and early 80s and 90s, it was almost unheard of not to pay points when you bought a house. So part of your closing costs was paying the lender. If it was $100,000 mortgage, paying them $3,000. With the advent of mortgages becoming securitized, there became something called a mortgage premium, where the lender would get paid by the servicer of the mortgage. Okay. And what Frank was talking about is, you can take a 7% loan. Maybe the lender gives Frank 1% to get paid to originate the loan process and underwrite it. That would be called a yield spread premium or a point. And Frank got ahead of the curve and mentioned that you could buy the rate down by paying points. So if you paid 1 point, you maybe get 6 3/4. 3 points, you get 6 3/8. Does that sound about right,
Yeah,
Frank?
Yeah, that's spot on. The what I'm telling people now is, unless you have to pay the points to actually get the loan, sometimes it doesn't make sense to buy down the rate, especially, we don't have a crystal ball to know where the rate's going to be in a year or two. But let's say you were, buying a home and you're going to buy down the rate, and it's going to cost you 10,000 in points, or 6 or 7, whatever the number is. It might take you 5 years to realize that initial investment before you see any savings down the line. So if the rates come down next year or the year after, and then you refinance, you're pretty much out that money.
So Frank, are you seeing less lenders, like when you look on the rate sheets, paying you to originate, like paying par plus 1 or par plus 1.5 than you did before?
I am, and it's they're, for the most part, I would say by 80%, a lot of them are figuring in, at least a point and a half, depending on the type of loan. Primary is going to be, for primary home, is going to be a little bit less. Anything that's a second or an investment, you're going to get clobbered. So it's, you're seeing a lot more priced in on those loans.
So the article I read, Frank, said that lenders are not willing to pay out a lot of advance money for these loans to be originated for fear of them being refinanced quickly. Do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's very possible that when we're in the industry here, that we may see like a borrower with a 670 credit score that has limited options for no point mortgages.
Yes.
If you're seeing somebody buying an investment property, it's virtually going to be impossible to build in enough premium to cover the additional cost to doing an investment property. Would that be accurate, Frank?
Yeah, that's accurate.
So,
I
yeah, I want to give everybody like a high level overview of what's happening behind the scenes. So like typically, 6 months ago, if somebody wanted to buy an investment property and the rate for a owner occupied was 4 3/4, a lender like Frank or Bruce or any of our partners could add 5/8 to the rate and make it, instead of 4 3/4, make it 5 3/8 or something like that, and build those points in. Now, what I read in the article was that lenders are fearful of the rates being refinanced so quickly that they don't want to pay to get them on the books, which is kind of a good thing, meaning that the lenders are, when they're holding their cards, they're saying like, we don't think this is going to last for a really long time.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now, I want to ask the group, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Frank. I want to ask the group, is there anyone that completely didn't follow what I was saying and is brave enough to, ask me what part of that you didn't understand? Because I think this is important to helping you ask the right questions to guide your clients. So if there's something that you didn't understand, we have Frank, we have me here before I get into the main topic, because I think this is important. Everybody understands it? I'm not usually that good of a communicator. So, all right, we're gonna move on. So if your clients are saying to you that, you know, my lender is for a second home or an investment property, they're requiring me to pay points. It's kind of a phenomenon that we're in right now that is probably temporary until the market finds its own level. Frank, you got one last thing before I move on to the subject material?
Not particularly. I was just going to share. Yesterday, I was looking at some investment properties, you know, multifamilies and stuff like that online. I've been noticing some are starting to sit a little bit longer, but I think the prices are definitely going to start inching down because as the rates are coming up, you know, they can afford less. Numbers don't make sense based on the rents that are being collected, you know, versus what it's going to cost you for the mortgage and everything else. So,
Frank, what about adjustable rates?
adjustable rates, I mean, we're doing a little bit more of those now, but you're still pricing in points.
So
What are the rates adjustable? How's that working? Because I was asked yesterday.
I mean,
So-
it's just, okay.
So what, Frank, if you can maybe just look that up, I want to just put a comment in from some of the reading that I've seen and the analysis. The problem with adjustable rates in this market, Maria, is that short-term rates are inverted, in some cases higher than long-term rates.
They are.
So if you borrowed for, you know, 5 years versus 10 years, you might be paying more for 5-year money than 10-year money because the financial markets are saying that these short-term rate raises and interest rates are not sustainable for a longer period of time. So you can't lock in the same rate for 30 years that you can for 5 years. Okay,
Yeah,
so that mutes some of the benefit of moving towards adjustable rate mortgages. If we were in a more normal market, not a recessionary scenario, I think that that would be a really wise option. And I don't know, I see Dan chimed in there, either Dan or Frank. You want to talk about maybe like a temporary buy down instead of a permanent buy down, and maybe that helps people get to be where they want payment wise?
Well, they're doing now, I was at UWM last week. I actually have a call this morning with them at 11. For those that don't know, UWM is United Wholesale Mortgage. They're the largest wholesaler in the country. I went out there last week to Michigan to go tour their facility and took some classes there. What they're doing now is a 2-1 buy down, which would buy down the rate by 2% the first year, and then the second year would be 1%. The only thing is it has to get built in with a seller concession, and the property needs to appraise for whatever amount that is that we need. So, you know, as long as the prices, you know, maintain and we could get the appraisals to come in where we need to, but if the prices start to decline, that might be a little bit of an issue too.
At the same time, too, with those 2-to-1 buy downs, we're also qualifying based on high end rate. We're not just basing it on the low down. So like a 2-to-1, you're talking, you know, a 2% drop on rate for the first year, 1% drop for year 2. Year 3, you're going to be back to wherever we are. You know what I mean? But basically, so let's just say today you're seeing 7% on a 30-year fixed primary residence, right? You could come down to 5%-ish, right? But we're still qualifying that buyer at 7%.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
But
Wow.
that's on the 2-to-1 buy downs. There are 5-year adjustables, 7-year adjustables, 10-year adjustables. There are those still out there, right? But the difference isn't as significant as it used to be, right? We remember ARMs being such a huge spread difference in the past. Now it's like about 1% roughly, right? So like a 5-year ARM, you're seeing about 5%. I mean, 5%, sorry, 6%. 30 years, we're seeing on a 30-year conforming today. I just ran a quick pricing model. We're looking at like 6 7/8, right? So it's not that much of a difference, but there are buyers who are, you know, if they want that 5-year cushion, they're willing to hedge their bet a little bit.
Isn't it true too, though, with these 5-year and 10-year ARMs, that the requirements for them are higher in terms of
And you still qualify. qualifying is based off of high-end rate. We're not just qualifying based off what the lower rate is. We're qualifying off the whatever the 30 years at. So we need to make sure that these people can qualify with the higher payment in play.
No, what I was referring to was if they had to have higher down payments and
No.
higher scores, no?
Nope, nope.
Okay.
Still the same. You could still get, you know, typically you could still see 20% down. If there's add-ons, right? If somebody's FICO, somebody who is at a 760 FICO versus somebody who's at a 680 FICO, the 760 is going to see the better pricing, right? You're going to see add-ons on the rate no matter what you do. So with what a lot of these lenders are doing, you know, based on how much money they're putting down or what their credit scores are, the worse it is, the tougher it's going to be. Also, don't forget too, and Frank can probably echo this too, there's low to moderate income areas, right? So those buyers, even though there's few and far between of those coming on the market lately, low to moderate income areas, though there are programs where rates are significantly less than what you're seeing out there, right? So let's just say New Jersey. If you're looking at Elizabeth, if you're looking in Newark, if you're looking at down here in Monmouth County, if you're looking Long Branch, Asbury, as long as it's in a low to moderate income, low to moderate census tract, you're going to see a less of a rate versus say like in Mountain Lakes. You know what I mean?
Okay, so maybe that's something that we ought to take up on another mastermind, which is, you know, how to bring affordability back to home ownership through some of these low to moderate income tracts and some subsidies that are out there. So I'm gonna do a shout out if anybody has any resources that they can share with the group in terms of attainable. I don't want to have like state bond programs that might take an excessive amount of time or have a low closure rate. But if you have some resources for a subsidized lending or affordable housing initiatives that you can share with our clients, that would, I'm thinking about Mr. Kaplan there about keeping people in their communities through having some subsidies to do so. Is anybody aware of like the Bank of America program, that the controversial one that they put out?
I hear it on Good Morning
Yeah.
America every day.
I just received an offer on one of my listings from one.
With a Bank of America or a subsidized loan, Scott?
It's the Bank of America NACA.
Okay, because they have like some census tract program where, you know, you can purchase homes in that targeted area where there's no PMI and there's more affordable rates. But anyway, I want to move on to our topic. If you have any of those tips or tricks, if you want to, you know, message me, prefer a text, and I want to consolidate some of those ideas and share them next time. But my material for today, you can just pull it up, was what are some of the resources that we're using to continually or consistently get some business, whether it's like Upnest, Ideal Agent, Redfin, Homelight, Geofencing, SEO, dialers, you know, third-party services, networking groups, client events. Is anybody using services like using and wanting to share their experience with like Upnest, Ideal Agent, Homelight, and there's some other referral services that might be referring both buyers and or sellers?
Rob, until someone speaks, I have 2 agents in my office who were actually ripped off by a company, and $5,000 each they've paid to receive seller leads, and it was a total rip. So and it was very sad.
Can you share the name of the company so others don't get taken in?
Yeah, let me text and I'll get the correct name.
Okay.
There's a couple of them out there. Bold Leads also They've been hammering us to join up with them, and their fees are a little expensive. They knock them down. But I've tried a couple of these companies before, and they really don't work. Basically, you got to pick up the phone, knock on the doors, get back to basics. That's the only way you're going to do it. Save your money.
Okay.
So, Rob, this is Lisa. I tried a company called, and I'm so embarrassed to say it, but it's called Cheap Ass Leads.
Lisa.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Well, yeah. So they basically were a bomb too. So if anybody sees them, they were all over social media for the longest time, and I figured, you know what, let me give it a shot, and it was definitely cheap ass leads.
Once you sign a contract with these guys, it's hard to get out. So,
Well, that's the thing. This wasn't that there was no contract, and they kept on charging my credit card, and I actually disputed it and won. So thank God for that.
yeah, gotta be careful. Some of these companies want a 6-month contract minimum, and some of them want a year. So it doesn't pay. You're better off just finding a lead yourself.
Oh, and this is Francis. I've tried Constant Closing. I've tried, I think it was called Phantom or something, but yeah, those aren't good either. It's costly. Phantom, I kind of, after I completed, I stopped the contract with Constant Closing. I thought maybe I'll try it because the commitment was a little less. They would just ask for a referral if I make the connection at the end at closing, but they would constantly, be charging my card for the Facebook ads that they would put out. And I didn't really get any leads from that. Constant Closing, I did get leads, but the only problem is, I don't know why, it was just saturated with a lot of Spanish speaking buyers, and it just didn't make sense after a while. So I never converted anything with any of them. But with Redfin, they have a lot of trash leads, but I think it's good for agents who are starting out. I mean, you're going through the process of eliminating all the bad stuff, but I'm closing one in November, and I closed one when I was 3 months into the program. There's no upfront cost. I think it just keeps, the mentality, especially for a newer agent in real estate. But, you always have to emphasize, you have to find different channels and outlets, using your sphere and, the open houses and all that other good stuff. So I didn't mind Redfin too much. I mean, there's a lot of trash leads, but if you have to give them a referral at the end, if you're willing to do so, then why not?
Gotcha. So, when
I
Marie-
have the name. I have the name. It's called Listing Referral Group. What happens is that my two agents both had to send them a $5,000 check. They were guaranteed listing appointments, sellers listing appointments, and not one of them came to be. And here's the scary part, and I was witness to this. Those emails that they were receiving from this company, there must have been some spyware in the email, that whatever email the agent was replying to, they all disappeared from their Gmail account. So there's no record of any complaints or saying I haven't received this or I haven't received that. So they have nothing to stand on to get their monies back.
There's that, and there's also these other things that I've been seeing recently up here. Well, you'll get text messages about, I work in another state, we're a referral company, we want to find people in your area. And then when they call you, it's a whole bait and switch into a whole different marketing scheme. And it's all different people, different name companies doing it. I know a few agents that got in bed with it and started paying a monthly fee, and it just never materialized. So I wouldn't answer anything like that phone call or text message where they're playing that game.
All right. All right, so thanks. So, caveat emptor, buyer beware, be skeptical of, things that you don't have a knowledge of. Is anyone using, Upnest, Ideal Agent, or homelight?
I just dropped Upnest.
That's Glenn.
Yes.
And why do you do that?
They changed their structure about a month and a half ago to 35%. And on top of that, they're basically pitching and marketing massive reductions in commissions. So they're encouraging everyone to like give 1% commissions or 1.5% commissions when they distribute the leads. So I just didn't think they were good for the industry or myself.
Very good. Does anyone know the Ideal Agent model? Because I want to share it if you don't. Like, have you seen that commercial where I guess it's mostly on like cable TV for Ideal Agent, where they're like, oh, we saved thousands of dollars to your 2% company. And I probably would say I wouldn't want to deal with Ideal Agent based upon that, but there's always the catch, right? And the catch here is the 2% listing is an exclusive listing where your house has limited exposure. And the people that I know that have been doing the Ideal Agent, they go out there and say, hey, if you want me to do it myself, it's 2%. If you want me to cooperate with other people, it winds up being 4.5%, 5%, whatever that is. So it's not all negative about like being on the Ideal Agent. I don't think there's any upfront fees, any costs that you need to incur upfront if you wanted to explore those type of options. Anyone using homelight?
So Rob, let me just say one more thing about Ideal Agent. From a user standpoint, like a seller, the drawback to them is that they only give you one agent. It's not like you get multiple agents to talk to and find one that really works for you. They supply one agent to you, and it's either take it or leave it.
I mean, from a perspective of being that agent, I'd rather have, if I'm getting referred, I'd rather have them say Robert Garver is the best agent instead of saying, hey, try Robert, Tony, or Anne Marie, right?
Hi, Givenchy.
Hold on, let me see if I have this.
How are you? I'm good. How are you?
Hold on, Robert, I now have the power to mute. I've made sure of that. You can unmute yourself, Mr. Garver. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, look, I learned from the last couple times.
Okay.
So, but anyway, like from a professional perspective, it's not necessarily the worst thing if they're only referring one. And I do believe that Ideal Agent did do a more thorough underwriting of the agents, because the ones that I know firsthand that are on there are literally our top agents. They're not like schleppy or middle of the road people that they took into the system. So I wasn't involved with getting them signed up or approved, but I do see the referrals going out, and those are from some of our better agents. I'm surprised there's nobody on homelight, because I have not seen that many referrals going out, but I do know that across the country, people I network with, some people are having success with that.
Troy in our office uses that.
Who does?
Troy.
Roy, okay.
Yeah.
What's the name?
Homelight.
And it's in the chat. Deborah says that she did homelight, but didn't get a lot of leads.
Deborah who?
I don't know. It says Deborah iPhone.
Okay. So Deborah iPhone didn't get a lot of leads. There's something that I came across that I don't think is really a great idea. A thing called Bid My Listing. Anybody ever hear that?
What's the name? What's the name again?
Bid My Listing. I think that's what it's called. Let me just put it up here. Bid.
These companies basically do what we do. They just have, virtual assistants that make phone calls. You
Okay.
give them the zip code or something. I mean, I don't know why at this point, you really have to do it on your own, save yourself a lot of money. These companies never worked for me in the past.
So this bid by listing, we were doing expired or FISBO calls, and one of the people that we called said, yeah, I'm taking bids to who's going to take my listing. And I don't know if he was using this service or not, but he sent this long text, and let me I'll read it out. Okay. Okay, this is what the customer said. The proposal should be the listing broker would pay a flat fee up front, let's say $4,000. If the commission rate and the time for the home listing can be agreed upon, and the selling price, then you would get the listing. If the home does not sell within the listing time frame, the fee is non-refundable and you would lose the fee. So my understanding is, and I didn't look up the entire thing, but Bid My Listing is one of those programs where you actually pay to get a listing and you can lose money if it doesn't sell. So I would be immediately skeptical of that one, but I think we should be aware of that. One thing that I have not been tech savvy enough to understand is geofencing. To me, it sounds like a pet rock if you don't know how to measure it. I think SEO is something that I think a lot of people have lost track of. Some of our agents are doing an excellent job at that, and they're ranking very highly in different dialers. Quality in areas, for example, in northern Jersey and southern Jersey and in southeast Florida, we've seen different dialers have better or worse quality of data. And a reminder, we have a I think we have 8 accounts with Vulcan 7. So if you're paying for Vulcan 7 with data, chances are you can have all the data and more than what you have, and you just need to reserve it. There's no fee for Remax Select Group affiliates. The only downside to that is that you can't use it as your CRM because it's an open system. Other people can see your notes. So don't say, hey, call back Robert Garver in 30 days because somebody else using the system would see those notes. Other than that, there's zero downside. I know we talked about networking groups and a few people were high on that. Has anyone joined the networking group since we had that discussion about 3 or 4 weeks ago? And any feedback on that, either positive or negative?
I'm in a few networking groups, but I think it's more for me like long-term. I've gotten some short-term leads, but I definitely am developing a lot of relationships and connections. So I find them to be useful.
Okay.
I hate to sound, sorry. I hate this.
One second, Colleen, before we go to Colleen, are they like a meetup or business BNI or Latip, or are they just different groups that you've created to network within?
Kind of both. I belong to like one that's not specific to real estate agents. So it's different organizations and businesses. So I've partnered up with them. I've gotten a renter from them. I do have someone that I'm working with to get their listing when they do plan on selling. So I'm just keeping those relationships there.
Okay. And for those of you who don't know, we had TJ, the gentleman who spoke earlier from Paramus about Troy. He's now our northern trainer, and Carly's doing training in central and south of New Jersey. Those are often available via Zoom. In Florida, we have Colleen and Ron and Julio all pitch in there. Quick unrelated thing. Are you still having success? And Carly, if you can keep your head to the right, because when you move to the left, we see the sun coming through the background. Are you still having success with your first app? And if you want to give us an update on that.
All right. So I am, and I'm now being, you'll be proud of me, I'm actually making phone calls. Anyone that comes to my trainings, I always say, do as I say and not as I do. So I'm starting to follow my own advice. With the First app, I do like it, and I've gotten deals from First. And I kind of went right for the low hanging fruit. I went to people that I actually have an ongoing relationship with. And that just ended up working for me. Now in my first app using Maria's methods, and one thing that TJ and I have been training based on what Maria wanted us to do, I put my farm in first. So I now have my next set of targets. Once my postcards go out, I partnered up with LandQuest and New Jersey lenders. So that way I can kind of offset costs. So my next set of phone calls are targeting those specific starred contacts in my farm. If you don't have first, and you guys, I didn't get paid to try first out. I did it, you know, based on watching trainings when it sound weird saying when it first came out, back when they launched first, what was it, Maria, like 2 years ago, they launched it. I watched the trainings on it at convention, sitting in the Chittenden Falls office, and like, I'm going to give it a shot. I didn't really do much from it. And then when we launched the program of getting reimbursed your fees, I was like, I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to say you have nothing to lose. I do not belong to any program of referrals. I am getting Zillows, but quite frankly, I might tell Maria to pull me from it because I feel like it's a waste of my time. I'm not a superstar agent. I'm still new to the rankings, but technology like First helps me target who I want to work with, and utilizing algorithms. There's like 700 touch points in the algorithm that determines the likelihood of that client being, or lead person being, selling or buying in the next X amount of months based on their star rating. I just had my meeting with Maria. Almost, I'm going to say almost, I'll say 95% of my deals are my sphere. So, you know, I'm sitting here listening to everyone using all these programs. It's like, oh, I'm writing them all down. I'd rather just focus on my weakness, and that's picking up the phone. And I'm sure a lot of you are like me, who have a weakness. But the program itself, I think there's no reason to not use it. For Maria, what is it? $465, $495?
$465.
Thanks, Colleen. So for that amount of money for the year, think about what you're spending in other programs or in a referral fees. This is now, I mean, it's like a drop in the bucket compared to what you're also paying for.
And Carly, just so that we don't, I guess, misrepresent, this is not a magic wand. You do need to do a little bit of work with it. And if you don't spend or make it a little bit of an investment in time and learn how to use it, like anything else, it's not going to work.
Exactly. And I'm going to kind of piggyback on that. And everything that you do in our business has to be consistent. If you pick up the phone once, I mean, I picked up the phone yesterday. I was sitting with Lisa, making phone calls, find a buddy, make your phone calls, then do it again. And you have to consistently do it with whatever you do. So stick with, I mean, this is what I say to everyone in my trainings. If you've come to some of the Westfield or Morristown trainings, or even, I know I kind of did a little bit online down in Florida, pick one thing, one program, and stick with it. We have so many tools. First, I find to be my favorite tool. I know I train a lot in KV Core, but first it's doing the scrubbing and dirty work for you. So you know who you can specifically make your phone calls to. So if you have an hour, make your phone calls. If you're sitting at the grocery store line waiting in a checkout, make a text, send a few texts, send a few emails. They do give you suggested scripts, but everyone's different. You all talk different than I do. We all have our formal or informal way of writing. Be you, be yourself. They're buying you. They're not buying anyone else but you and your brand. So in my opinion, I'm going to spend a lot more time using First. I'm going to put a little bit more of the cold leads and not cold leads, cold, my circle prospecting from Cole, and I'm going to put them in there. Maria's got her hand up.
Maria, you're on mute.
Okay. Carly is a great example. And if anyone has come to any of the doubling down sessions, and we're going to be repeating them, basically we are, you know, I've been teaching a form of farming that is targeted. It's demographically targeted to baby boomers and for anyone who's been living in their home over 25 years. And we also have another target, which is that first-time home buyer who purchased a home 5 to 8 years ago. Long story short, I'll show you how to find them, how to get them. We bring this list into first. So not only are we farming and doing anywhere from 2 to 4 touches a month, consistently for an entire year, every month, but we're also bringing them into first. These are your leads. You're not paying anyone. So here's the one thing that I've been asking agents, and Anthony is going like this. So I'm going to make believe I'm talking to Anthony, and this is what I'm asking all agents. Do you want to be dependent on a third party for your financial future? If you say, yeah, no problem, then take all the leads, pay for those leads, use those leads. It's not going to get you anywhere. But if you want to be in control of your own finances, your own financial future, your kingdom, then learn how to fish yourself. And you're not reliant on anyone, and grow your business. Because here's another point. You can have 500 buyers and they all buy from you. You don't make a name for yourself. Your name is not out there. Only the buyer knows you. But take 200 listings and guess what? Anthony, your name grows all over the place. I'm going to list with Anthony. So become a listing machine. The buyers will come. That's my spiel.
And to kind of
and I'm sticking to it.
Okay, to piggyback on like the first question that you had asked, Rob, about networking events.
If I could just say one thing, Carly, real quick, because my name was brought into this. So I just want to share one thing, because I think this is very important. I know that there's 77 agents or associates on this call. You know, I've been in this business a long time, and I've been in the up cycles and I've been in the down cycles. And I know Rob has talked about where is the hockey puck going? And we talked earlier about the rates and how, where is the money and the smart money going right now? And it's being held back. I think I heard that by the experts that were here earlier on the call, because they think that the market's going to change and it's not going to spill out and go higher and higher and higher. So they're holding their money. Am I correct, Rob, with that?
What I was saying to you was the lenders or the servicers, more particularly of mortgages, Anthony, are not wanting to buy servicing because they're afraid it's going to turn over when the rates drop.
Right. So if that's the case, so if we're looking at the market and we're market makers here, because we're brokers, we're market makers, right? And we know what the market's going to do. We know that those servicers, they think that the rates are going to go down quicker than they're going to go up. Am I correct in that, in saying that?
So investors, and I don't want to go too far here, Anthony, but investors don't want to buy a lot of servicing because they're afraid it's going to refinance. For example, if I pay on a $500,000 loan, I pay $5,000 to get that servicing, and then that loan refinances in 6 months. Okay, I've lost $4,500. That loan has to sit there for 4 years to break even. So servicers are not comfortable that rates are going to stay on the books for a long time because they think rates are going to drop. And let's face it, how many of us or how many of our clients had refinanced 3 to 5 times in the past 5 years? Many. So
that's correct.
So that I just want to clarify that for you. So if you could bring that one home, we got to go back to Carly and Colleen before we wrap up.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know that I think that it's important that the first app is showing us who is the most important person that right now that's willing to buy based on those stars. So these things that are built into our Remax system are the most advantageous if we dovetail it, like Maria said, and we use the Coles Realty resource and utilize those skill sets that Maria is talking about. It will supersede any leads going into the future for your own personal book of business, because you're not going to be looking like I know somebody else said there was 35% that they're taking in referral commissions. So you're always going to not have that additional business because you're going to be giving it if you're paying for a service as opposed to building your own book of business with the farm and the first app. So I would really say anybody who's really looking for that book of business, look towards Carly and Maria, because I think it's really, really, I've been in this business a long time. If you want your own book of business to stay there, this is the opportunity right here, because this is like on steroids. This is something old school and new school, and it's worth looking at, really is. I just want everybody to know that.
Thank you for that comment. Now, Carly, there was a question there. What arrangement did we do about reimbursing people when they have closings? And secondly, is there still like a free-ish period for the first app?
Yes, so you'll get 60 days free from Remax for first. When you, I'm going to say the word first again. When you first sign up for first, you'll have to plug in your credit card information and the program will charge you on that 61st day. When you bring closing to first, Remax Select will reimburse you those fees, but you have to close. What I want to kind of circle back to the whole thing, reason why I unmuted myself was going and joining networking events. So I'm going to share a few things with you and take it with a grain of salt or take it however you see fit. I'm a firm believer of getting in front of people, making those relationships. And again, anyone that knows me knows I'm afraid to be on the phone and make those phone calls, but put me in front of someone, I have no problem doing that. What I will share with you is when you do join these networking events, you're getting contacts in your phone. They're then getting imported into first, and you can then develop those closer relationships with people based on those star ratings. So you join networking group A, you mingle, you meet people, you find business partners, you offset costs, you partner up with small businesses, and then you find out, oh, well, Maria is a 2-star in my first app. Maria, let's go for coffee and let's just talk and have a normal conversation. So now you then become the go-to person just by having those conversations. For me, I'd rather do that than make those phone calls. So that's just my spiel. If you guys take a look at the calendar in the hub, and I know I'm sidetracking. I'm sorry, Colleen, you can have it in 2 seconds. We are running trainings on first on Tuesdays. There's a Tuesday for Tech Tuesday, and plus, if there's not a training with myself or TJ or Maria, Remax University will be your best friend. There is so much stuff in Max Center. Okay, I'm done.
Thanks, Carly.
Thank you, Carly.
Colleen,
Yeah.
if you're still there, we're back to you.
I'm still here. Well, that Carly took my pitch. I was going to say, I feel like a broken record. I keep talking about first, but it is a program that is working. There's no better way to build your business than working your sphere. And the problem with most agents is they think sending out seasonal cards will do it. Your sphere needs to be touched constantly. They need to be reminded. And first is going to do this for you. The other thing is using coal for the geo neighborhoods and so forth. Maria does a fabulous presentation on that. You can't go wrong. Why spend money on things that aren't going to work when you have things right in front of you that do? And coal is a program paid by you, Rob, for the agents. They don't have to pay for it. And I think that's an attribute to our company, that we invest in you to be successful. Please use these tools.
So Colleen, when all of our leadership meets to do business planning with our team, and we're doing this not because we want to give you a hard time, not because we want to see where our numbers are. We're offering our time and our experience to help you have a better vision of where your future is going to be. And if you haven't done a business plan or done a meeting with your local manager or leadership, I encourage you to do it. We are eager to meet with you. We're eager to help, and eager to hold you accountable if that's something that you want. I've had several people that will either email me or text me just to say that they're doing what they said they were going to do, because it makes them feel accountable. We want to help. We want to help you plan. We have a lot of experience that we can share to help you get there a lot quicker, and maybe having that accountability, which oftentimes, Colleen, agents that can pay $1,000, $2,500, $4,000 a month for a real estate coach. And one of the big components to that is keeping them motivated and accountable. And you have that right under your roof where you are now. And you have people that really care about you. The second thing about the first app is these are people that you know. Okay. So if they're in your phone, if they're in your database, you know them. And that's going to be the easiest transaction to conduct, because by definition, they're familiar. If you have that anxiety about calling strangers, you know, it's over. These are people that are in your sphere. And you can work that space. And a shout out to Maria Della Fera for, you know, being forward thinking and taking your farm and incorporating it into the first app, because I think that that doesn't cost anything extra to be building those or enhancing those relationships that are there. Okay, so big shout out to you, Maria. Your passion and your creativity is appreciated. Go ahead.
90 seconds. Carly, TJ, and I were late coming on to the meeting because we had a meeting with LandQuest this morning. You are all going to be getting a big, you know, announcement very soon. Little do you know that LandQuest will also be helping all of you get more listings with seller leads. So I'm so excited about it. So if you want any information in the meantime, get a hold of your LandQuest title rep. We're excited, right, Carly and TJ? It's going to be incredible.
And Fazia, and I see I saw Julio, Colleen, maybe check in with Amanda and see if we can get our title relationships down there to do something similar.
Okay. Absolutely.
And I'm going to say one thing about mindset is, as this market pivots, you know, and it seems like we've been talking about pivoting markets all the time. I want you to step in to the opposite side of a transaction. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of your client. And I want you to specifically, you know, I would encourage you to write down what that experience looks like when they're working with you and what differentiates you from the rest of the competition as this market pivots, right? Because I've always been a big proponent of the fact that, you know, if you walk into the door or you submit an electronic registration or you call somebody and you're looking to buy a house, this has always intrigued me. So I want to buy a 4-bedroom house in Davie, Florida, or in, you know, Union, New Jersey, and I call 10 different people. I don't think that I'm buying that same house with the, you know, if I was to be able to, you know, run parallel experiences, I think people would take me down different paths. You know, some of those people would be not engaging enough that I may not buy with them, or I may decide not to buy. Other people might educate me to buy elsewhere. Other people are going to, you know, give me the strategy to buy the house I want in the neighborhood that I want. And it's not like, you know, when somebody buys a house, the outcome's always the same. And the difference is the experience that we provide to our consumer, to our client, our potential client. And with the market changing, both listings and buyers are getting different experiences. And if you're uncertain how you're going to deliver that experience, I think we need to be more deliberate and intentional in how we answer the questions, how we guide our clients on how to make that right transaction, make the right move for them and their family. Because in most cases, this is still like the largest transaction that a person's going to be doing, at least to date, right? And hopefully they're going to be buying 3 or 4 other properties with us during our career. And that's something that we haven't really talked about. We're always talking about lead generation, lead conversion, but, you know, step in, envision yourself being your client, and how can you improve that experience? Right? How can you be more confident? How can you be more value-based, more of service to them?
Hey, morning, Frank. How are you?
Hey, Frank, somebody's on. Anybody have any last questions before we wrap it up for today?
I have my last 2 cents.
Okay.
Okay, now is the time, guys, to work really hard. If you work really hard now, November, December, when other realtors are partying, sitting back, doing other things, it's your opportunity time. I can promise you, if you work really hard now, you're going to have one of the best Januaries and Februaries you've ever had. Plan for the future.
Colleen, I'm going to just tell everybody, if you're in our Florida footprint and you don't have a meeting with Colleen or our local leadership, okay, you're only getting half the experience of being part of RE/MAX, because, you know, when you talk about things and we can help you, I mean, Colleen might be coaching somebody who's sold 10 times more houses than Colleen has in her career, but Colleen has that experience to guide you, and that that passion to help you. Like, we really want to help you get to where you want to be. We're offering our service to sit down with you, to guide you, and you know, please take advantage of that during this period. Look at the experience from your consumer side and figure out how can you deliver that better. All right, everybody, have a productive weekend. I look forward to seeing you next weekend.